Hello and welcome to Wednesday's show. The name of it we'll talk about in a little bit, but this is where we talk about what we're doing in the shop and what's been going on. So on Monday, it was about you guys, and now Wednesday, it's a little bit about what we're doing. So I'll kind of get into it. As you know, you've been following us, Dan and I, we've been building these offices. And this past week we managed to get the last of the doors in, the door trim all on it, the baseboards, and all we have left is a little bit of trim at the top and some crown molding to do. But I don't think this job's going away anytime soon.
No.
I mean, they keep adding stuff. They're great people. It's just, it's going to be going on for a while. So we're going to bore you with that. So. Also, too, had this customer built these shutters and a flower box for them last year. And she's like, oh, my husband's going to do it. My husband's going to install it. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And after a year, it didn't happen, so we got the call, and we went out there and you know, hung them up real quick. So no big deal. Didn't really make that this week. We just installed it, but it makes the house look really nice, so. Speaking of shutters, we had a new customer call. And what I love about when the new customers call is I do no advertising, zero. And the only way people call me is by referrals. And I think that is the best way, in my opinion, to do business. Because here's how I see it. If my customer is a good person, then they associate with good people. And their family is typically good people. And so I very rarely have ever had a customer that's been a problem. So I kind of believe that whole birds of a feather flock together thing. So anyhow, this fella calls me up, and he's a dentist, and he wants some shutters on the outside of his house. So, okay. You know, they go over and take a look. Dan and I drive over there. And the guy he needs 24 shutters. And so, like, a buddy of mine said, 24 shutters. Yeah. You know, that's just the front of the house. That's 12 windows on the front of the house. And there was 3 more windows, right?
That he's not going to do. Yeah.
He's not going to do. You know, so, I mean, you've got 15 windows on the front of the house. Now, I don't know about anyone else watching the show. But I have 4 windows on the front of my house.
I have 1. Okay.
So, I mean, you just think about how big this house is if the front has 15 windows. Anyhow, it's just kind of funny because while we were there, I don't know how it came up in conversation. He needed a fence.
Yeah.
So Dan's a fence expert, so Dan was measuring for that. And then I kind of told him I really don't enjoy doing shutters, but, you know, a job's a job. So anyways, because he's a dentist, he has his own office, and he wants cabinets in his office, too.
So it all worked out.
Yeah. So we're looking at doing that. We don't have it yet, but I don't see why we wouldn't. So anyhow, so that was kind of fun. So that's basically work-wise went on this week. Now, on Thursdays, I go over to my buddy Dennis and Les's house. It's actually Les's house. Dennis comes over. And so Les is starting to get up there in age a little bit. His health is kind of not cooperating with him. And Les and Dennis, they are phenomenal furniture makers. I mean, these guys have so much knowledge, and their skill is so good. Both of their houses each are just filled with amazing pieces that you would see in a museum, okay? So at any rate, they've asked me to help them finish up a couple of pieces, and you can see these photos here. We're working on a highboy, and Dan was crazy about this highboy. So this is made out of tiger maple, and Les said that he didn't buy one single piece of wood for this.
He didn't buy any wood.
Well, it was all left over from other jobs that he was doing. And when I say jobs, I should say projects, because he doesn't do it for a living, you know. He just does all this for fun. He's never done it for a living. Dennis did it for a living for a while, but Les has always just been into it.
Yeah, but with what they're building here, how many projects?
I'm serious. The house is like a museum. It's amazing. But I mean, to think that all that beautiful tiger maple
Is left over.
is left over from other projects, pretty amazing. Now, I will say, I think he's been working on it since 2004. But that's one of the reasons I'm there, is to help him. He wants to get these things finished up, you know. So in the process of helping, I am learning so much from these guys. They're just sharing so much with me. So anyway, it's a real pleasure, it's a real honor, and it's certainly a real enjoyment to go over there on Thursdays. So that's how I spend my Thursdays. So that's what we had going on this week. I got to show this. So the other week, Dan and I were out. We're doing some jobs. We drive by, and I see this place that says Antiques. Antiques. I'm like, I want to see the antiques.
Okay.
So go in Antiques. And, you know, usually in these antique stores, they got crap or the stuff is wrong. And so they had some old hand tools. And, you know, I hate it when I see a hand plane and they just kind of Frankenstein it together. They put a blade in this from there, a wedge in that from another, and they don't even match. And, you know, to someone that's uneducated, they get duped. They get took, you know. And so Dan actually saw the hand plane. He's like, Chad, look at this. I'm like, that's crap. And then I turn around, and I see this. I gotta show him. I said,
I didn't even know what it was.
yeah. Are we still in camera with this thing? I know it's kind of big.
Yep.
Still in camera? So this is an old timber drill press.
There you go. A little bit more. There you go. Perfect.
And so what you would do is, like back in the day, like when they're building these big farms or build big structures or whatever, they would set this right on top of the timber beam, and then you sit on it right here. And then what this does is, so I got this gear that can disengage. Let's see, and then so it goes up, it holds in place, right? You put the bit in, and then you engage the gear, and now, let's see if I do this right. Now it not only turns, but it self-feeds down into it.
That's crazy.
I know, it is nuts.
Yeah.
Now, I've been looking for one of these for a while, and they're always hundreds of dollars. Hundreds of dollars. I mean, the cheapest one I had seen was $150, and it wasn't even in good shape. So this had a price tag on it of $55. and I'm usually like, well, I'm gonna pay that. That's a fair price. And Dan, what do you always say, Dan?
I'm like, hey, see if you can talk them down.
See if you can talk it down. So I just simply said, is that the best you guys can do on it? And they came back, and I got this for $40. So cool. I'm really excited about it. So it was really cool. Now, I got a question for you guys later, so I'm going to come back to this. But anyway, I just had this is like show and tell for me, and this was kind of fun. So pretty neat. Okay. Let's see what else was this week. Talked about that. Oh, okay. So I guess this would fall under a little tool review, a little should you own it type of thing. So I was working on a video, and I was using my marking gauge on the wood. And, you know, again, this is one of these items that are under $10. This is Shop Fox, and again, it's a marking gauge. So I have a knob here, and I can loosen the screw, and for however thick I want to make it, I tighten it up, and then I can scribe a mark all the way around it. Now, what I like about this, and there's other marking gauges out there, what I like about this is it's got like this little cutting wheel on it, where others have like a nail and others have a knife. This has got a cutting.
That'll roll with it?
It doesn't really roll, but what it does is it severs the fibers pretty clean and smooth.
Okay.
Some have like a nail in it, and when it goes across, it'll rip the fibers of the wood. Where this does a nice job of making a mark, and a cleaner mark, if you will. And I think it's easier to adjust. Now, if I only had one complaint, it's sometimes I feel like I have to apply a little bit more pressure to get it to really hold.
Okay.
If you just do it kind of lightly,
It'll
then
slip.
yeah, you can make it slip.
Okay.
You know, but it's $10, and it works really good. And I managed to get this at Woodcraft. Oh, this is the other thing. I made a small modification to it. So this is round, right?
Yep.
So when you put it on your bench, it has the tendency to want to roll right off.
Would you put an edge on it?
I did. I took a file and I flattened it just a little bit. So now it's not going to go anywhere on me. You know, this is,
And it doesn't hurt the performance of it.
no, not at all. Because this is just a fence. Yeah. It's a simple little fix to it. Maybe they'll watch this video and start making them that way. I don't know why you'd need it round all the way. It just must be cheaper production-wise. But, a little file, just flatten it down, and it works great. Now, I will say, Woodcraft sells one of their Wood River ones.
Yeah.
And it has the numbers on it. So, like, if you want to set it, this doesn't have any markings. So if you want to set it for a 1/4 inch, you could go right on it and set it for a 1/4 inch. What I just do is I measure with my tape a 1/4 inch on here, and then I set it and mark it. So the Wood River one is a little step up,
Yeah.
but it's like $20. So if you're really, if money's tight and you want one, can't beat it for $10. If you got a few extra bucks in your pocket, maybe check out the Wood River one. I haven't used it, but I just kind of saw that they had it. So, at any rate, should you own it? I would say yes. Okay. Another product this week. You probably heard me talk about it a little bit a few weeks ago. Crystal Lac. Crystal Lac is a top coat and a stain company. I've been playing with their stuff, and I'm real interested in them for a couple of reasons. One, the government is basically, I hate to say the word government, because as soon as I say that, I feel like there's conspiracy theories out there.
I'm not saying those.
I know. But you're the one I'm thinking of. Anyways, the government is trying to get us to go to more waterborne or water-based stains and finishes. It's better for the environment, and I do have to admit, it's a lot easier to clean up. But I've always been like old school, that they're just not as durable. But with science and technology improving, the stuff is coming around. So anyway, at Crystal Lac, I've been playing with their top coat. So far, I like it, but their stains are water-based. And I got a whole cabinet full of oil-based. And so they had told me they were coming out with this kit that you can mix your own stains. And I loved the sound of that, because there's been a couple times I've fallen in love. This happened twice. Only me. Twice. 2 different companies. And I won't say the names. 2 different companies. I fell in love with a particular color.
And then they
discontinue
it.
Yep. And like the replacement color for it wasn't quite there for me. So I got real excited on the idea I could mix my own. And also, too, I do a lot of cabinet cut down, a lot of touch up and repair, and I have to mix stains to get it to match. So they sent me now this is not the official kit. This is like a little trial sampler thing. So they sent me a kit. It's got eight. Is that right? 2, 4, 6. Yeah. So I've got 8 colors here that supposedly can make just about anything. It has a little recipe brochure, if you will, and it's not only stain, but it also can do paint. I don't think I'm going to do the paint.
Yeah.
I don't paint anything. But the stain will be interesting. And then they gave me a sample of their clear gel stain, so I imagine I mixed the dye in with this. I haven't read anything. But I imagine I mixed the stain into that. This is Universal White. Okay, so this must be the paint. And then this is their top coat for protective finish on it. And so it gives you these spoons, and with the recipe, you mix it and you do it. So I'm curious. You know, I haven't used it. At first glance, looking at it, I have some questions and concerns, but because it's so new, they're refining all this and they're working it out. So.
All right, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
What? How is it matching an oil-based stain with water-based stain?
Well, yeah. Now, I saw a little video on their website, and I think this is really cool. And this is something that has been a problem with us woodworkers. So, like normally, when you do a oil-based stain, you put it on the wood. It's only going to absorb so far. And if you want it darker, you know, people say, oh, wait a couple days and then you can put another layer on and it should darken up. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't, depending on the wood and so on. Besides, I don't have a couple of days to wait,
right,
you know, for it. So I've learned some tricks over the years on how to fake that and build up a darker color.
No, but I'm saying mixing.
Well, I know.
Yeah.
I know. So that's what we're going to find out. But the neat thing with their stain is you put it on, and if you do want it darker, when it dries, it's water-based, so it'll dry quicker. You put another right on top, and it gets darker, like right now.
Okay.
That's pretty cool. So what I'm hoping to be able to match it is I'm going to try and start with a color that's lighter.
And work your way up.
And work my way up to what. But yeah, will there be a difference? Because these cabinets that I cut, yeah, I mean, I'm just going to be touching up a little bit. I'll be curious if there will be anything noticeable on it. Okay. So hopefully this week I got a couple of cabinet doors that I hope to get to cut down, and I'm going to try this on it for the very first time. So maybe by next week I can tell you how I did. But at any rate, there's a couple of viewers asking me, because I talked about it a couple of weeks ago that it was coming. They asked me, you know, have I had a chance to play with it? I didn't. Now, this is called their Craftnique line. And this line is actually aimed at towards like those furniture flippers. You know, those shows are real popular right now. Like, oh, I found this in the garbage, and I'm just going to put a little paint on it. I'm going to sell it for $1,000. Yeah. So this set is kind of aimed for them, but they told me they're going to re-gear this, especially for woodworkers.
Okay.
So I mean, it's going to be the same like stains and material, right, but it's going to be more tailored for for what we do,
right,
instead of the whole let's make it pretty and shiny thing. So anyhow, I'm a little excited to play with this and see how it does. So I'll keep you guys up to date on that. So this is should you own it? I don't know at this point. Can't tell you. All right, so let's get that out of the way. What else is on the list here? Oh! I thought this was really interesting. So last week, Jay Spencer over there in New Zealand. He's the guy I always got the name backwards. I kept calling him Spencer J for the longest time. Yeah. But Jay Spencer, he's has his little furniture business and everything, and he posted in the comment that he's done. He's done with it.
Now, why would you do that?
That's what I said. I was like, we can't have this. We can't have someone give up on woodworking, you know, especially because he's done some nice stuff, you know. So right away, I sent him a private message. Get a hold of me. You know? Yeah. So what it is so he does it as a business, and he's frustrated with customers. I think any one of us who does this for a living, you know, have fallen under that from time to time. Yeah. He's frustrated with them not paying.
He needs an enforcer.
Yeah. But they're not paying. They make changes, after the fact.
Yeah.
Just all they're inconsiderate and don't want to wait. Things that occasionally run into, and so he said he's not gonna do that anymore. So I said, well, are you giving up on woodworking? He said no. So what he wants to do, and I'm really eager to learn about this because it's something I want to do. He wants to design and make his own stuff and then sell it. Now, that's not an easy thing to do.
No, not at all.
Because I have my own furniture design, style. I think I have my own style. But my style doesn't translate always to the client. I have to build what the client wants.
Right.
So I would love to one day to build my own style and someone just buy it. So he's going to try and do this. So I asked him, I said, look, I want you to keep a weekly blog on it. So, and I said, tell us all the highs and tell us the lows. I always say the thing I want to know is not what to do, but what not to do. Because that'll save me a lot of time.
Well, this would be nice to follow.
Absolutely. So he said he would do that. So I'll check with him. Hopefully by the time this airs, I'll have a link down there below if you guys want to follow Jay's journey on this, or if you just want to give him some words of encouragement. I'm sure he'll appreciate it. But I definitely think this is something that all of us could learn from, And then when he's like big and rich and successful, he won't even talk to us anymore. Yeah. Anyway. So good luck, Jay, and stay in touch with us.
Just remember, if you need an enforcer.
All right, so we come to question of the week, and we really did only have one question this week. You know why?
I guess you're going to use it, huh?
I am going to use it, but I know why, because everyone was busy answering last week's question of the week. But anyway, so this question of the week came in from Philip Quinn, and he says he gets a lot of like leftover little scrap pieces of wood, and wants to know, what's the best use for it besides firewood. And I found that really hard to answer, because it depends on the size of the piece of wood, right?
Yeah.
Like if this was long and thin and it was of maple or walnut,
Cutting board.
you make a cutting board.
Yeah.
Which we do quite a bit here. With something small like this, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could practice carving skills. But what I found I did early on years ago was I put a scrap bin box right outside my shop, and that was for all the little kids in the neighborhood. And the kids could come, and they didn't even have to ask. They knew if it was in the box, they could have it. But it got so popular that like kids were asking for hammers and nails, so I had to build little benches out there. And the kids knew where the hammer and nails were, and they would come in and get the stuff. And for several years, it was. I'll never forget the one year was the day after Christmas. Day after Christmas, kids got all their toys and everything, right? Day after Christmas, they're over here going through the scrap bin box, excited because I threw some new pieces in there. But it's amazing what kids can do with scrap pieces of wood and their imagination. It was great. Unfortunately, now those kids are growing up. They've discovered girls and boys, and woodworking is no longer of an interest to them. But that's just one suggestion, Philip. I don't know where you live, but that's one suggestion. So if any viewer out there has got some suggestions for him or for the rest of us, want to leave comments below, that'd be great. What do you use your scrap pieces for? Okay, so last week, my question to you guys, what do we name this Wednesday show? And I've got a ton. I mean, this page is like full, and I'm still not done, Dan. I think there's probably 30 to 40 more
Well, how are we going to do this?
I don't know. Now some of them were I thought kind of funny. I mean, I liked some of them. One was wisdom from Chad. We don't want that. We all know Chad has no wisdom for you. But that was definitely flattering. Some were very original. The Wednesday show. So, I mean, seriously, some of these guys cracked me up. One was Wacky Wooden Wednesday. I liked that. But there was a couple that kind of stuck in my head. I liked Midweek Meetup. Kind of sounds nice, you know, easy going, laid back. You're meeting up with us. I kind of liked that. I thought this one was interesting. A Grain of Thought.
A grain of thought.
Grain like in the wood?
Yeah.
You know, grain of thought? Huh? Sounds a little too smart for me, right? It sounds like too deep. But I do like the sound of it. And then, all right, so a couple of these came from a buddy of mine who knows how hard we are working. You know, I'm not trying to give a little wah cry story here, but I'm glad you guys really like the show, because it is a lot of work to put these shows out. And I mean, we're doing up to 15-hour days because we're working and then we're trying to do the stuff at night, and so at any rate, so my friend suggested after hours woodworking, which, you know, because I mean, depending on when they're watching this, I'm sure they're watching it after their day, after hours woodworking. The only thing about it sounds like remember back in the day, Showtime or HBO, like late at night, like at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. It sounds like one of those little kind of risque, you know.
No, I was thinking more like an after hours joint. I could stand at the door and, you know, charge a cover charge after hours.
After hours,
when everything else shuts down, you know where to go.
The after hours would. So I don't know. I haven't decided yet on the names. I guess I'll finish reading the rest of them. But boy, do I appreciate you guys throwing all these suggestions out there. There's a lot to look over. So as of right now, I still don't have a name yet. So that's where we're at with that. But thank you. So this week's question of the week for me to you is. I'm going to come back to this guy. Is that still in frame there, Dan? Can they still see this thing? Okay. So my question is, should I restore this, or should I just like preserve it the way it is? See, I love my old hand tools, and I don't really like to clean them all up and make them shiny and paint it and all that. But this one does need a little bit of work. The wood is getting dry, so I'm probably going to put some linseed oil and mineral spirits on it to help, you know, prevent it from drying out and cracking. You know, I thought about, just because the gears are kind of rusty, I thought about just giving them a light with a wire brush. The handles are in decent shape. Usually these are broke, but again, they're really drying out. I can see them cracking. So how far should I go with it? You guys, when I see some of your stuff, some of you guys will completely sandblast stuff, put the paint back on it, make them look like they're brand new. But part of me feels like I should still have the charm and the warmth of the woodworker from long ago. You know, I feel like when I hold an old hand plane or hold an old bracing bit, I feel like I have the essence of that guy before me, or gal.
It's almost like if you restore it, you're washing that away.
Well, that's how I kind of feel. Yeah. That's kind of how I feel. But I'm torn on this, because it could look really cool, all cleaned up and shiny and spiffy new. It could be pretty neat. So I don't know. So what do you guys do when you come across old hand tools? Do you fix them up just enough to where you can use them and keep it going, or do you make them shiny and new? So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Okay. Last week, we're going to talk about videos, upcoming videos. And last week, I told you that Mitch Peacock over there in the UK, we were going to do a collaboration on a video. And we both decided to do dovetails because Mitch does his dovetails with the tail first. Here we go. He does his tails first. And I like to do the pins first. And this is a big old debate thing that, woodworkers have. But I thought it'd be interesting to let, the viewers decide which method works for them. Because you kind of lean towards a certain way. And so Mitch has his video done. He has it done, but he's got it like unlisted. It's private. And so I watched it, and it's like 18 minutes long. And I, you know what? I like the way Mitch does his videos. There's something about his voice that's calm and cool, and yet it's confident. Not cocky, but confident. So like when you're watching it, you really feel like this guy knows what he's talking about. And he does. He's a furniture maker, and he's been doing it for years and everything. He does it for a living. So he really does. Well, my method is different, and I have some smaller details, information that I wanted to add into mine. For example, like when you first get the boards, how do you select the boards, and what's the proper way? What's the outside facing of the board? What's the inside and all that? What type of marking gauge? That's kind of where this kind of, what kind of marking gauge should you use? And so I have 3 different marking gauges, that I was going to show. I talk about laying out the spacing for the pins and tails. I got 2 different ways to show on that. And then there's the actual cutting of it, and then there's the final smoothing, sanding, planing, whatever method. So I thought, cripe, my video is going to be like really long. It's going to be like an hour-long video. No one's going to watch that. So I decided I'm going to break it up in little segments for it. So that, again, that they could watch just certain individual things, or, they can watch the whole thing.
I think it's going to be cool to see 2 different people from 2 different parts of the world do the same thing. Different ways.
Different ways. So, I'm thinking I'm going to get like 4 videos out of this, right? Shorter videos, like 5 8-minute videos, or 5 to 8 minute videos. So I wrote Mitch and said, hey, I don't want you waiting for me, because it's going to take me weeks to get this done, right? And he said, no problem. He was going to release it today. As we're talking about, he said he was going to hold off and release it for our viewers.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So as I'm saying this, now I can put the link below, and you guys will be like the first ones
to see it,
to see his video.
Nice.
I thought that was really cool of Mitch.
Yeah.
Because he could have just said, forget you, Chad. I'm just going to release it now. Yeah. Nice idea. Thanks for leading me along.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, he's really cool. So he's doing this for our show. He's releasing it for our show.
That's great.
I say thanks to Mitch on that. And I'm sure him and I will be doing more in the future. But I liked it. I liked his, even though it's not the method that I do.
Yeah.
I liked it, and I thought he covered just about everything. Just about everything. I think he got, in 18 minutes. So, okay, so, I'm going to put a link to Mitch's whole show down there and everything, too, so you guys can go to that. So, what does that mean? What does that mean for Friday coming up for you guys from us? Well, I decided to do a little video on making a rabbet joint. I figure this is a nice basic elementary joint. It's stronger than a butt joint, which we just put together here. It's kind of like the next step up. And so we do this with a hand plane, and I show you how to do it, and I explain, the benefits of this type of joint. And I think it's like a 10-minute video. It's not that long. So
cool.
That's coming up this Friday, and you can do it with a brand new hand plane, or you can do it with like an old one. So it should fit everyone's budget. So that's where boy, this felt like a long episode. Where are we at on time?
You are at almost 35 minutes.
Holy cow, because I know they like me to keep it around 30. Okay, that's what we had going on this week. Next Wednesday for sure we'll have a title to this show, whatever we're going to call it. Of course, Mondays are all about you guys, so send in your pictures. You can do that at StantonFineFurniture@gmail.com. And, of course, look for the new video coming out this Friday. Dan, got anything to add?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, on behalf of both of us, keep doing a great job and keep on dancing.